Alright everyone, this is Prince Paper Route Gang. I am bringing you guys the correct way to set your video settings for Minecraft if you have a sucky computer. Even if you don't have a sucky computer, I still recommend these settings. I use these settings and I have an awesome gaming rig. So, let me switch over so you guys can see the settings, and we'll go over the settings one by one so that way you guys know what I'm talking about. I do apologize, my lighting is just a little off, so it is making me invisible in some spots. Alright, so let's switch over so you guys can see, and we'll start going over these right away. Alright, first off we have the graphics. You have a couple of different settings for the graphics. You have fancy and you have fast. Okay, fancy is going to use a lot more of your video processor, so you don't really need it on fancy. You can go ahead and move it down to fast. You have no problems with doing that. Okay, and then next we're just going to go straight down the left side and then straight down the right side, so that way we can get them all covered at once. Alright, so next we have smooth lighting. Smooth lighting is not going to affect your game at all. You want to turn it off, however, because what it does is it works in the background to smooth out the blocks in a distance. So you don't really need this. It's not going to affect you at all. But you want to turn it off so that way if you have a not a great video card but a decent video card, it's not struggling as much for that. Okay, 3D right here, basically what that is for 3D glasses. And if you're not using 3D glasses, you don't need it, and I don't recommend using it at all because it does strain your video card more. Okay, next we have the GUI scale. What this does is it uses the resolution of your screen. You want to keep it on large so that way everything is blown up and your process is not using as much stuff. So what I'm going to show you guys real quick the different settings you have here. You have auto. Auto's going to automatically go to whatever your settings are best for. Then you have large. This is large. It looks crazy. I mean, this is small, not large. I messed up right there. I do apologize. This is small, so small is very small. You can see more stuff, but your computer is working harder. Then there is normal, which is just right here. It works not as hard, but obviously it's still working hard. So if you're having lag issues, you want to make sure you put that on large. Okay, clouds is pretty obvious. Clouds is literally the clouds that you see above your head. You don't need to see those, but those will lag you, just like rain will lag you. Nothing you can do about rain because rain is controlled by the server owner or server host. So clouds you can turn off because you don't need to see those. There's no big deal in seeing those. Full screen is so that you could, so it's blown up. You don't really need it blown up. You kind of want it out of full screen, so that way for some reason it does use less processor to not be in full screen. However, you can still have it in maximized even though it's not in full screen. However, you have the little freaking border around it, but if you're a streamer, you can set up your OBS or whatever to not pick up that border, or if you're streaming straight off of Minecraft, you won't have to worry about that. But you want to keep it out of full screen so that way you still use less stuff. Okay, MIP map, you want to keep this off. It's like a fog-based system, so you want to keep that off. VBO is, let me look right here. I wrote this down because I did have to look this one up. But is a vortex buffer, and what that does is it uses nope, that's the other thing that I'm thinking of. That's VSync that I'm thinking of. It's a vortex buffer. That's the only thing I know about it. I always keep it off, so I recommend you keeping it off too. I wish I knew more about it, but if you guys know more about it, you can put it in the comments below so that others can read that. Okay, so let's keep going. We're going to go back up here to render distance. Now this is very important. 8 chunks is your fair. So 8 chunks is your fair. And that's what I run at. I run at 8 chunks. And this is how many chunks around you that it does load. And, I mean, 8 chunks is normal. Okay, and then the lowest you can go is 2 chunks. And the highest you can go is 32 chunks on 1.8. However, this is working your system a lot harder. And it's asking the server to download these chunks as well. And based on what the host has the settings for is based on how many chunks you can actually download. See, I set my server at 8 chunks just because I know people that are going to join my server are not able to, they're not able to set up these settings because they've never seen how to do it. And they don't understand all this stuff. So that's the reason I'm making this video, to explain all this stuff. Now, if you're still experiencing lag after you have it at 8 chunks, you can go down. However, that is going to make a difference on how far away you can see. Obviously, you want to try to go as high as you can if you're doing PvP. But if you're doing PvM, you can go as low as 4 chunks and you're going to be fine. But 8 chunks is what I use because that is your normal. And anyone playing on my server, you might as well have it at 8 chunks because that's what I have the server set as. And you're not going to be able to get anything more than that out of it. Okay, max frame rate. So this is where a lot of people get messed up. So max frame rates is based off of the screen that you're displaying the game on. Most monitors will not shoot out more than 60 frames per second. And if you're playing on TV, you can get a little higher, but 60 frames per second is perfect for this game. And you don't want to go any higher because even though your monitor is not showing any difference after 60 frames, you are still forcing your computer to push out more data than what it should after 60 frames per second. And if you're still experiencing lag, I would go down to 30 frames per second because you can still get a nice video quality out of 30 frames per second. Because most of the streams that you watch on Twitch, depending on your internet connection, are only going to show you around 30 frames per second anyways, based on your connection to the stream website, stream server. So I recommend starting at 60 frames per second and going down. Do not go up above 60 frames per second. There's no reason to do it. So I would stick with 60 frames per second and go the opposite direction. So go down. Okay, view bobbing. What view bobbing does is it bounces the camera. So when you're running, it bounces the camera. You don't need that. You can have the camera stay straight. It's no big deal. But if it's bouncing the camera, it does take more resources out of your game. So there's that. Okay, brightness. I have mine all the way up. I don't want to adjust it because I changed my gamma. And if you change your gamma, which I have another video on about that, I'll try to put it in the notes below, but you can find it in my video section. But what that does is it just makes the game brighter or darker when you're in caves and stuff like that. But I do use a gamma setting on mine. There's a video on how to do it. I need to remake it because the volume levels are not that great. So I will be doing that shortly. I don't know when, but I'll do it soon. Okay, but that's that. I'll leave that alone. Okay, let's keep going. Particles. Particles is basically the hearts that pop up around animals when you try to breathe them, and the water droppings and lava droppings if you're under a block that has water or lava in it. I keep these down to minimum unless I'm mining, and if I'm mining, I turn them all the way up. However, you want to keep them down as much as possible so that way your frames stay good. But if you're mining, you kind of need them so that way you know there's lava in that block before you break it. But just playing the game, I keep it on minimum and I try to keep it where I know that I have it on minimum. So that's one that I do adjust. But it's better on your system to run it on minimum because it takes less resources to actually see that. Okay, VSync, a lot of people ask me what VSync is. And it's hard to explain VSync by typing, so at least I get to do it right here in the video. What VSync does is it tries to fix your system. So it tries to fix the latency with the frames per second that your computer can actually put out. However, if you have it doing this, it's trying to max out your frames per second based on your computer. So you don't really want it doing that. You just want it going off the max frame rate and being done with it, because it does use more resources to use this VSync and try to sync up the game with your resolution. But if you have a great computer, go for it. But this is for us that run on not so great computers. So these settings are for those that run on not so great computers. Okay, alternate blocks. Alternate blocks is basically the it uses the best view, the best smoothing block ratio for the block that it sees. So you don't really need that on, not at all. Okay, let's keep moving down. Into these shadows is obviously shadows in the game. You don't need that. And this is the basic settings that everyone can use. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me explaining all of these. If you do have any questions, please ask in the comments below, and I do hope this helped you out. If it did help you out, please give a like. Please give a like. If you like to see more stuff like this, please comment below on what you would like to see. And if you have any questions, please put those below. But hopefully share this with your friends. Get everybody running Minecraft the best of their ability, so that way you and your friends can tackle the big jobs and not have anyone complaining about lag issues or anything like that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this presentation and have a great day. I hope you guys hit your subscribe button too to see more. Peace. I'm out.